So shooting handheld videos getting popular recently, and that's for a good reason. It's not simple to carry on a tripod or a gimbal wherever you go if you want to just shoot something, especially if you're not in a studio or you're in an uncontrolled environment and you see the moment that you want to capture. But if you just wait around to set up the tripod and the gimbal, you will just lose it. So that's where shooting handheld makes much more sense. And if you've seen the sequence in the beginning, if I have put a sequence in the beginning, then that sequence was shot completely handheld using some of the tips that I'm going to talk about in this video. And it was shot in under 30 minutes and just before dusk, so I did not have a lot of time to manage around the shots and just had to quickly get the shots that I had in mind. It did not turn out that good, but it's kind of okay. So with that said, today we're going to talk about some tips to shoot better handheld footage. So the first one is to breathe out, and the one shake that I've seen is not that noticeable, but it does happen a lot, and that's the one that you get when you're breathing and you're shooting. So when you're shooting and breathing, your chest is getting up and down, your body getting up and down, and that will end up in a shake in your footage. So the best way to avoid that is to breathe out or exhale when you're shooting. I've tried normal breathing while shooting and holding the breath while I'm shooting, but the best one that I've found is to exhale while you're shooting. I can't tell what is happening scientifically, but it does calms your hand a lot when you're exhaling while you're shooting. So the first tip is to just exhale, and that will give you much more better results just by exhaling and not just holding it and breathing. That will give you a lot of shake in your footage. So the second one is to add more points of contact. And what I mean by that is when you're holding a camera, the main things that are touching the camera are just both your hands, and that's not giving it a lot of stability. So what you should do is add another point of contact to the camera, whether it be holding the camera near your chest or holding the camera, or if you're shooting with a mirrorless camera, then holding it near your eye to make it another point of contact. Or even use your camera strap around your neck, pull it outwards, put tension on the camera strap, making it another point of contact. And that way the shake produced by your hand will not affect that much, because the third point of contact will make it a lot more stable than it is. So this one's pretty popular. I've seen this before, a lot of people doing it. The strap one actually works the best, and the chest one. The viewfinder one, I'm not sure because I'm not using a mirrorless camera, I'm using a DSLR. So try to add more points of contact to your camera to avoid a lot more shake, and check out one of these methods to find out which works best for you. For me, the strap one works just fine. So the third tip is not to put pressure on your hands. And I've seen a lot of people when they're shooting handheld, they keep their hands just like this, holding out the camera straight outwards, and that actually makes your hand a lot more shaky and makes your hands get tired fast and not allowing you to shoot for a longer period of time. So what you should do, instead of just holding out your hands like this and shooting just like that, try to put all the pressure and the weight on your shoulders or on your back or anything like that. So a couple of things that I use to avoid the pressure is I keep my hands like that and put my elbows on my chest, and that way all the pressure is on my chest instead of on my hand. And there's another way, is that you should keep your hands at a 90-degree angle, and that way all the pressure and the weight of the camera are on your shoulder instead of your hands. And this actually works really well, instead of just holding out your camera like that and quickly getting the shot. I know that works out just fine sometimes, but can result in very bad shake. So taking a second and putting up your posture before taking up the shot can result in really smoother footages like that. So try to get the pressure off your hands as much as you can to get better results. So the next point does not help you get more stabilized footage, but instead helps you to get more better looking footage, is to use higher f-stops while you're shooting. And yeah, we all love to shoot at a wide aperture or lower number of f-stop to get that nice creamy bokeh, but it also makes it really hard to keep your subject in focus, especially if they're moving or if you're tracking your subject. It's not that much of a problem if you have a camera with really good autofocus like Canon or Sony, but if your camera does not have good autofocus, or if you're shooting with a manual lens, it can get really hard to keep your subject in focus when they're moving, especially when you're shooting handheld. So opening up your aperture to something like f2.8 or f3.5 can help you keep your subject in focus, because in a video when your subject is in focus and they're moving, the audience's focus is on the subject itself and not on the shake that's much going on. But if you're shooting at a higher f-stop and if your subject gets out of focus, people will see that get out of focus, and they will notice all the other stuff that is happening in the frame, like the shaking that is happening when you're shooting handheld. So try to use a higher f-stop when you're shooting handheld to get better looking footage, and sometimes it's actually better to focus more on how the footage you're getting is good instead of how stabilized it is. So the fifth point, and probably the last point, is to use the ninja walk. So shooting handheld is not easy on its own, but when you're shooting handheld and when you're walking, that makes it even harder. So when you're walking, you'll get those jerks while you're taking footsteps, and those shakes are not that easy to get rid of in post and can result in wobbling effect if you're using something like the warp stabilizer. So for that, there's the ninja walk. So what you have to do is, instead of just taking normal steps like you normally do, put your heel first, then tip, then toe. That will create a smooth foot motion and will not give you the jerk when you just putting up your feet like that and giving a shake to your camera. So instead of putting your feet just normal, that will give you the shake, and when you're shooting, you have to put your heel up first, then tip, then toe. That will create this nice curve effect that will ease up your body when you're walking, and also bend up your knees a little bit. That will also reduce up the shake that your body is having when you're walking. So that's the trick that most filmmakers use when they're shooting handheld and they have to move, or even when they're not shooting handheld. You will see a lot of filmmakers, when you're using the glide cam or the gimbal, they are using the ninja walk to reduce as much shake as they can while they're moving. So it's a really good trick to use when you're shooting handheld, or even with any stabilizer, to get rid of that wobbly walking jerk that you get in your footage. So that's all the tip that I'm gonna say. There's also other tips like reverse focus, where you keep your subject in focus and move out or move whatever you want to do, and just reverse that clip in post so that it looks like you're coming into focus to that subject there. And there's one more thing, I'm not gonna say it's a tip, but that's just what happens with me. I'm not sure it's gonna help you. It sounds really stupid, but try not to concentrate too much on the frame that you're getting. I've seen that when I'm concentrating too much what's happening was the frame, my hands shake a lot more. And when I'm not concentrating, okay, that's a frame that's happening, yeah, okay, it's happening, and then my hands shake a lot less. I know it doesn't make any sense, but don't just when, oh, I'm gonna get the frame, that will make you a lot more nervous and make your hands shake. Try to be calm and just cool, and what you're getting, just okay, that's happening, nice. Try to be more calm and free-minded when you're taking the shot, instead of just, oh, I'm gonna get the shot like that. Okay, so yeah, that's all the tips that I'm gonna say. So yeah, that's it for today's video. Give the video a thumbs up if you like what you saw, and subscribe for more coming videos, and I'll see you guys in the next video.